Hi crafters, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today for our little YouTube tutorial I've got something a little bit different for you all. So I haven't actually got anything prepped, I've just got some ideas. So I thought what we could do today is I'm going to show you how to make a slightly flatter card that might be better for if you are bulk making or if you are posting. I'm going to give you a couple of options as to how you can use our beautiful Gilded Wreath stamp and die set to create a beautiful project for your Christmas cards. So I'm going to get going. I will mention all of the materials that I'm using as I go, and then once I've finished recording the video and I upload it, I will list all of the materials that I have used in the description below. So this is a little bit kind of, we haven't got a plan, but I thought it would be fun to show you how some cards can come together really nicely just using a few different materials. So I am going to be using my Gilded Square die set, but we're going to use just some of the smaller ones from the middle, because what I thought is, I know lots of you have been asking about smaller cards, so I thought this would be the perfect way to show you how you could create a smaller card. So I've got my Gilded Square die set here, and what I've done is I've taken the 4th and 5th dies in. So they're the ones that we're going to use on our project. So we're going to start off with the larger one, which is the 4th one in, to create our card blank. So again, I've got an 8x8 card blank here, and I'm just going to take my die and tape it down into place onto my card blank, like this. And then I'm going to use my die cutting machine to just run this through. So I'm going to use my base plate, my plastic shim and my cutting plate on the top. I might need to add my metal shim in with going through 2 sheets of card, but we shall see. I'm going to move that glue gun out of my way because I'm guaranteed to burn my fingers on that during this demo. You can get a little sneak peek at a die set that's coming soon as well today, so keep your eyes peeled. Let's give that a little wiggle. Yep, we need to pop the metal in. So let me pop the metal into there and we will resend that back through. Okay. And then we'll grab that at the other side. And hopefully, there we go, we've got our lovely die cut card blank. Okay, so I've just overhung the die a little bit at the top, so then that creates the fold, which then gives us our card blank. So we're going to take that exact same die and we're going to take a piece of crystal white pearl card. I'm going to position that die onto here and we're going to die cut this out. Now I'm going to take the smaller one, not quite. I did just wonder if I might have got the 2 out of 1 sheet of A4. But I won't quite. I'm going to take that metal shim out because I think we should be okay with this one, with it just being 1 sheet. And then we'll send that through our machine. While that's running through, I'm just going to grab another piece of crystal white card. Just me running across the craft room there. There we go. Okay, so we'll grab this and then we'll lift that piece out. So that's going to create the front of our card. We're going to hold on to that. And then we'll take the next one down. So this is like the 5th size kind of die out of the set. And we'll take our low tack tape, tape this into place and send this one through. So I'm doing like 2 kind of white mats and layers. There we go. So just send that through our die cutting machine. And we can grab that when it gets to the other side. Okay. And lift that away. So you can see how we've got our lovely base card. And we're going to stick this one on the top in a moment, and then we'll pop this one on top of there. So that's giving us our lovely mats and layers. So I'm going to take the smaller one now, and I'm going to take a little anti-static bag and give my card a little dust over. And then we're going to take our Gilded Wreath stamp. Now we're just going to use the stamp on this project. I'm not going to use the dies with it. So we're going to ink up our stamp. Like so. So lots of light tapping all over the image. Okay. And then we're going to take this, we're going to position it down into the middle of that square. So about here. And press. So you want firm, even pressure all over the stamp. We're going to lift that away. And then we're going to take some scrap paper and we're going to use some Hollywood Hills embossing glitter. So that's this one here. So sprinkle that all over the top like that. Then that's going to go straight back into the jar. Okay, and then I'm going to heat this up. So let me grab this in. So I'm going to hold this carefully in my hand. I'm going to grab my heat tool. And what we're going to do is chase that embossing powder. So as soon as you see that powder start to melt and change, we're just going to move the heat gun over the image. Like so. There we go. So we've got that nicely heated up. I'm just going to give that a little tilt round just so I can have a little look, because it's hard because we've got very bright lights in here obviously for the studio. So next up we're going to stamp the little Merry and Bright sentiment in the middle. So I'll pop that on an acrylic block, and I think I'm going to go gold, I think, for the sentiment on this one. We could go gold or silver. Let me grab an embossing powder. So we're going to go for polished silver, and I'm going to emboss this one up. So let me bring this back around. There we go. So we're going to take our polished silver. I'm going to go silver instead of gold. I changed my mind at the last minute. So we're going to take our little Merry and Bright sentiment, and we're going to ink that up. And we're going to stamp that down just in the middle of the wreath and lift off. So again, we're keeping this quite flat. And then we'll take our embossing powder, sprinkle over the top and tap away the excess. So that was polished silver Superfine that I used on this one. And then we'll quickly heat this up again. So just using our heat tool. And then as soon as that powder melts and changes, you're going to move the heat gun over the image. So next up, I've got a couple of Copic markers. So if you've seen, it's gone quite viral actually on kind of Facebook and stuff, the Christmas tree card that I've done. I've used 2 Copic markers, so I thought I'd use the same ones on this project. So if you've seen that card and thought, oh, I want to have a go at making that, I thought I would use the same colours, so then you're not having to buy more. So I've got apple green and ocean green here. So I'm going to start with the lighter colour. I'm going to use the brush end of my Copic pen. Again, any pens that you've got at home, an alcohol-based pen will work for this technique. And what we're going to do is just go around, and where we've got these little branches, we're just going to kind of use the pen to flick a little bit of colour onto here. And again, you don't have to be too careful in the way that you do this. You can just kind of slap the colour on there, and you can see how it starts to build the wreath up. So on some of the finished samples where they've been coloured in that green colour, this is what we've done. So I know there's been a few people asking on Facebook, which again is why I thought, this would be a good little tutorial to film. So we're just working our way around. add in the colour. So at the moment at Chloe HQ, we're getting ready for the Christmas Builder Bouquet collection launch. So we're filming lots of tutorials with that one at the moment, but we had a little gap in the schedule. So I said, oh, this would be a good one to do. So that's why, if you noticed at the start, there's lots of Builder Bouquet finished card samples behind me, because we've been filming some content with all of that today. So you can see how you can just work round adding the colour onto there. Okay, if I hold that up, you can see I've not done it kind of too carefully. It's quite rough, quite sketchy, but that's kind of the look that I want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in, but with the darker green. So this one is ocean green that I'm using. So again, I'm going to use the brush end, and we're just going to go in and work over and kind of just brush a little bit of colour in. Now, if we hadn't used pearl card and we just used plain white card instead, you could use some watercolours if you wanted to, or if you've got some distress inks, you could use your distress inks and water them down with a paintbrush and then paint them in to do this kind of technique if you wanted to. There's just loads that you can kind of do with this collection, and you can see the difference on the bottom half, hopefully, where we're just adding in that little bit more depth, a little bit more shading. Nothing too complex about this here, but just sketching that colour onto there, working round, just roughly following the lines of the stamp. Again, I'm not even being like that careful, we're just kind of working around, getting a bit of colour on there, so you can see how beautiful that wreath is then looking. So I'm just going to give that a little waft, give it a few seconds just to let that alcohol evaporate and let the card dry off. Okay, so that should be all right now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our Dries Clear PVA glue, and where we've got the little berry dots on the stamp, we're going to go in and just add a little dot of PVA. So I love this technique. It's really easy to do, but it does make your projects kind of pop. And you can kind of work around and do as much or as little as you want of a section at a time. Obviously, it does depend on kind of the warmth of your room as well. So just be a little bit mindful of your glue drying. But as we're putting the glue on in quite a large kind of blob, it's going to take a little while to dry. So we can go in, just continue to add all of our little dots of PVA. We can't have a bigger one there. There we go. So you can see there how we've got those added onto here. So what we're going to do now is take some of our red glitter. So the one that I'm using here is Santa's Suit. So there we go. So you can see how we've added the little red berries onto the wreath there. So I'm going to pop that down. That red's going to go straight back into the jar. And then I'm going to take a little paintbrush, just where I've got a few little stray specks of glitter. We'll just give that a little dust. I'm going to just flick the back of the card over the bin as well, and that'll just help get rid of any stray flecks. Okay, and then next up, I'm going to take one of our lovely glitters. So this one is Mint Crisp. So again, it's that same glitter that I used on the Christmas tree. And what we're going to do now is go back in and just add some more little dots onto the wreath like this. And I'm just doing these kind of randomly, as and where I think they would look quite nice. And again, you can, if you're not as confident doing this, you can always add a few, come back, add a few more. You know, you don't have to do it all in one like I am here. There we go. And then we'll take the Mint Crisp and we'll sprinkle this over the top. So the reason that I started with the red is because the red is the darkest glitter. So if we take that Mint Crisp, can you see how that then adds a different texture onto there? So then you've got a slightly different colour. So then we're going to take that, that's going to go back into the jar. Okay. Like so. So I'm going to pop that all to one side for now, and I'm going to give you a couple of options. So obviously if you want to leave the wreath like this, you can do. I'm going to add in a moment some little jewels from my bling box, but I'm going to do something else first. So to add a bow onto this wreath, obviously you've got your bow from your stamp set that you can use, but on the 9th of October, now this is going to make it a little bit more 3D for posting, so the bow would squish in the post, but I wanted to use it anyway, so here we are. So I thought we would make a little 3D bow together. So this is a new 3D bow die, and this is coming out on the 9th of October, so not too long to wait. But it honestly, it just looks lovely on the wreath. Of course, if you didn't want to go for the bow die, you could be using, you could use a bit of ribbon instead, or I know baker's twine and stuff really kind of on fashion, so to speak, at the moment. So you could use something like that as well. But I've taken a piece of our Jupiter Pearl paper. Now it's important that you use paper for this because it's a little bit easier to mould. And then this is our bow die. So it comes all in a oneer, okay? So it's nice and easy to use. So I've just taken a double-sided adhesive sheet and covered part of my paper with that double-sided adhesive, okay? I'm going to just pull this die in just a little bit. There we go, like that. Okay, and then we'll grab our cutting plates. Grab those in. Getting a little bit concerned. I've got my glue gun on down here to stick this bow together, and it smells very burny, I have to say. So we're going to take this, and hopefully it's going to stay in place. Don't want it to move too much. So pop that onto our cutting plate, and then we're going to pop this one on the top, and then we'll send that through our die cutting machine. So we're going to use Santa's suit again, so we're going to get a little bit messy here. So what we're going to do is take this, okay, so we've got all the little elements here. So let me, oh, it's not, for some reason this Gemini is not cutting it kind of one side of the machine. So let me send that through again. Let me give it a bit more welly. I think it needs a metal shim. Right, let's tape that down a little bit more. It's a bit hard to tape things into place when you're using the double-sided adhesive sheet, because obviously it's like a waxy type paper. Let's send that through. It sounds a bit better. There we go. And we'll grab this at the other side and lift that out. Okay. So we've got all the little elements for our bow there, nicely die cut out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by taking the pieces. I'm not going to use the little centre band for this one, so I'm just going to take these 4 bits. Now this is going to be entertaining for you as you try and watch me peel the back off of the double-sided adhesive, but here we go. So, right, peel off, there we go, that's that one done. Now it's up to you if you want to double-sided adhesive both sides of the bow. I'm just going to do one, but you can do both if you want to have like a glittery inside and outside. So you just put a bit of double-sided adhesive on both sides of your red paper, if that's what you're wanting to do. Let's peel this away. Oh, did not want that to happen. There we go, separate those out. And then peel the backs off of this one as well. Oh, I'm in a right knot here. I've got double-sided adhesive stuck all over. There we go. It's that one. And then we'll do this one. There we go. I feel like we need some like music or something, don't we, to infill those parts while we're waiting. Right, so then we'll take a bit of Santa's suit glitter. I mean, I say that like I know how to put music on. I've got absolutely no idea how to do that, so there won't be any music coming on any of the videos. Right, so we're going to take this away here. Take that off there. It's a bit of... That's better. Okay, so we're just going to cover all of these with our Santa suit glitter. Go. 1, 2, pop those to one side, and that red glitter is going to go straight back into my jar. I'm going to move that scrap paper out of the way because that's all covered in red now, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, and then we're going to take our bow. So we're going to create like a double bow. So I'm going to use my glue gun to stick this together. Now I like the glue gun because it grabs quick, but I have also got a good record of continually burning myself with it. So please, if you're using a glue gun, be very careful. So we're going to start off and we're going to fold these in like this. That's the first one, and then the second one like that, and then we're going to do the same on this piece. So we're going to go 1, and 2, okay, and then we're going to take these two. I'd just like to give my glue just a little second to dry off, okay, and then we're going to take these and we're going to cross them over like this so that it creates that double bow. So a little bit of glue in the middle like that. I'm going to take that and cross that over like that, so that then creates your little double style bow. And then we're going to take the little ribbons. Now I'm going to position it on my card first, so do I want it to go up there, and if so, do I want my little, or do I want it at the bottom? I think we'll put it at the top, but I'm going to put my ribbons slightly out to the side. So we'll take a little bit of glue just onto the ends. Took one underneath there, a little bit of glue, and then took the other underneath there. That's then creating my bow. We're going to take a sparkler, one of the large ones, and bob that in the middle. Okay. Oh, I've got bits of glue all over the place now. There we go. Right. This is why I don't get let loose with the glue gun. Put that in the middle of there. Honestly, I've got so many burns off that over the years as well, so please be careful. I'll never forget once I did a show on creating craft. I think it was with a box kit, actually, Box Kit magazine launch, and I had to go to the walk-in centre between my shows because I had a burn on my arm, so I ended up doing the shows with my arm wrapped up in cling film. I just had to put a long shirt on to disguise it, but oh my word, it's terrible the amount of times that I've done that. So you can see how that's then starting to come together. So what we'll do now is we'll glitter up our background to put this on. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do a little red line, I think, for a change around the edge. So I'm going to take my quickie glue pen and I'll take a bit of scrap paper. Okay, and then we'll use that red glitter again. Okay, and we're going to sprinkle this over the top. Okay. I have to say hello as well to anyone who's maybe just found us. If you maybe saw me on Hobbycraft TV, was it last week? Was that just last week? My word, it's gone very fast that time. But hello, if you have just discovered our channel, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll get lots of ideas and inspiration. Yes, and of course, whenever we have any new Hobbycraft TV dates, I will post them on our website and on our socials and everything as well. So then you'll never miss a show. So we're going to take our quickie glue pen. I'm going to drag this all the way around like that. Okay, and then we're going to take our glitter straight over the top. Again, you can use a little paintbrush to just dust off any stray flecks. What I do tend to do actually when I've finished a card is I have like a obviously not that I use it for my makeup as well, but I have a big makeup brush, and you can just give your card a really good like dust over with that when it's fully dry. And that'll just get rid of any kind of leftover glitter or anything like that. So then we're going to take this and stick it onto the front of our card blank. So now we've got that lovely full gilded square. And then we'll take this one. Do we do a little edge on here or do we just stick it on? Now, again, if you're posting, you can stick this down flat with a bit of glue, and then that will keep your card pretty flat for posting. Because I'm going to add that bow on, I'm going to use some foam pads, because I do love a couple of foam pads on a project. So we'll just add a little bit of depth and dimension to this one with some foam pads. Okay, so we'll stick that onto here, like so. Okay, and then we're going to take our some jewels as well. I'm going to stick that bow on first. So we'll do that with a little bit of glue from my glue gun. Stick that down onto there, and then we can take, I'm going to use some of these nice like really vibrant red jewels. So I'm probably just going to take 5 of the smallest and 5 of the medium. So this is from, I think that's the Elegant Christmas Bling box. So then we can go in, just add some little dots of glue, and then we'll take my little picky up tool. Oh, just snapped it. Oh no. There we go. Right. So we'll take, look at that. I just snapped the end off it. I'll have to put a bit of glue on that. We'll fix it for next time. It's fine. So we can just take a few of these little red jewels and we can kind of just dot these around. As you can see, my little tool did just break. Let me get some tweezers instead. It's a little bit too heavy-handed, I think, with my, not them tweezers, them ones. There. Oh, I might have to have one more jewel just to go up there. One more. I mean, you can take it as far as you want with the jewels. You can put as many or as few on as you would like. But that would then be your finished project. So that's quite a bit of a smaller one, really. Let me just move some stuff out of the way. And then I'll put the other camera in. If I put the card up here, hopefully, and then if I press that button, there we go. So you can see that's a really nice, quick and easy, smaller project that you can make with the Gilded Wreath. So I really hope that you've enjoyed creating that card. As always, we've got loads of tutorials on the channel, so please do subscribe. And we'll be posting lots more new tutorials soon. Of course, we've got the Christmas Builder Bouquet launch coming up next week on the 9th of October. So I will be doing a Facebook Live at 2 p.m. So it's on a Thursday. So it's Thursday, 2 p.m. next week. We will be doing a Facebook Live with Christmas Builder Bouquet, and then the launch will be at 6 p.m. on the website. So please do have a little look. But yes, this is the project that you could be making today with the lovely Gilded Wreath. So again, I did mention all of the materials as I used them as we went through, but I'll link them all in the little description below if you want to have a look and recreate this project. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again very soon. All of the materials that I've used can be found on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk.